Elon Musk backing down in his battle with Brazil's Supreme Court, which banned the X platform. The social media platform named a legal representative in the country, removed some user accounts, and paid fines, getting up to date with the laws that they had not been in compliance with to this point. Joining us right now is Tim Higgins. He's the Wall Street Journal business columnist and a CNBC contributor, and a lot to talk about with Musk. But Tim, why don't we start here? What this means? He took a stance against some of the free speech issues that had been pushed forward. What are the latest developments?
Yeah, the judge wants the proper paperwork to be filed, given a few days to do that. Then we'll see the next step. Really kind of surprising, given all the rhetoric in the last few weeks by Elon, just about the strong stand that he was taking. Frankly, a little unclear why now. Perhaps it's because the company's been losing money there. It has been spreading to its Starlink operations in Brazil, the satellite-based communication network that it has, those accounts being frozen. So seeing some contagion to the companies outside of X that Elon has. But yeah, took a stand, but now seems to be backing down.
And I mean, maybe this is just how difficult it is if you're not going to follow rules in foreign countries, especially countries that don't value free speech the way the United States does.
Right. Elon says that X follows the rule of the land where he operates. Here in Brazil, or in Brazil, where the X was facing this challenge, he was saying that the country wasn't following the rule of the law. That's why he was taking this stand. But yeah, getting it to this idea, it's hard to stand up against a country where you're trying to operate in. It was either an option of losing money or going out, basically not being in business there, or getting back into business. And most companies, it would seem, don't take these kind of principled stands. That's what was so unique in this situation, to see Elon really being public about what he was doing in a way that, people were applauding outside of Brazil.
What about the latest with the SEC? We've talked a little bit about it this morning. This was a case where, I guess, with just a few hours' notice, he canceled the issue of showing up for the SEC for some of the things that they've been looking into. What's wrong with that? If this was a last-minute cancellation, or was this standing them up?
Well, the government would see this perhaps as a pattern. He's done it before. A cynic might look at this and say that Elon is essentially trying to run out the clock, waiting for a new administration to take over. He's betting that former President Donald Trump will be in the White House, and he's been obviously gotten very close to that potential president in the last few months and weeks. So, it's a little unclear. He doesn't exactly have the warm and cuddly relationship with the SEC going back a number of years. But clearly, here's another example of Elon being very defiant and very confrontational with the government, and it could potentially have ramifications down the road for him and his companies.
It was the Trump SEC that originally brought that case in the situation with 420, going public at 420. That was Trump's original SEC that did it. I guess this is different because at that point, Trump and Musk were not close. They had lots of issues between them. How would it work if Musk were to take some sort of I don't know if it's a government role or just an oversight position of looking at regulatory oversight and bloat when it comes to the government?
Well, that's a good question. It's one a lot of people are asking about. I mean, you've seen in the last few weeks Elon being pretty aggressive in his criticism against government agencies that he feels like are in the way of his companies. I think of the comments in the last week about the FAA. He's been critical of the EPA. These are government agencies. Regulators have been fining his companies for their actions, and it's the kind of thing that good government kind of folks are raising questions about conflicts of interest. These companies that he has, whether it's SpaceX or Tesla, are highly regulated. They are operating in new areas of technology, whether it's space travel or autonomous vehicles. Gray kind of areas where he's very aggressive in pushing back against regulators as they're trying to figure out ways to essentially kind of regulate this new world. It's been an effective tactic for him in the last 20 years or so. And the question is, will he have even more leverage in kind of influencing those agencies if he's some sort of head of a commission that's tasked with reducing government spending or rules or regulations? It's a unique situation.
Just to be clear for people who haven't been following along, the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, was the subject of an X post from Musk where he said the FAA Space Division is harassing SpaceX about nonsense that doesn't affect safety. With a Trump administration or with a Harris administration, the government is in a unique position because they are pretty reliant on SpaceX at this point, too. The last Boeing rocket had some problems. And if you look at the turmoil that's taking place at Boeing, where is the government going to turn?
Absolutely. This is one of the kind of conundrums that the government has as it tries to regulate the Elon Inc. World. It's not just SpaceX and these issues of going into space. You also look at some of the other powers they have with Starlink, the communication network, very helpful to Ukraine in its battle with Russia, but really raises concerns about how much power Elon has in various corners of the world.